just so everybody is aware. A few housekeeping. Well, first, let me do a quick introduction. Hi, my name is Rosy Rojo. I'm with the City of Santa Maria. And then also joining us from our division is Alicia Vela and Tashina Luag. And if I could just ask that if you are not speaking, if you could please mute yourselves, that would be helpful. Of course, you have the ability to mute and unmute yourself. So when public comment does come up, you are more than welcome to speak. But if you are not speaking, please make sure to mute yourself. Also, if you can make sure that your name and if you're representing an agency shows up under your name. So the way you do that is if you hover over your name, there's 3 little dots and you can change what shows as what your name or title shows for everybody else that's watching. That way they can see who you are and also know what agency you are representing. If you're representing an agency, if you're just here from general public, great, and that's okay. You can put resident or you don't have to put anything, but we just definitely want to put a face with a name. So that being said, thank you so much for joining us. This is a special Block Grants Advisory Committee meeting. It is a meeting that we have annually to discuss the unmet needs in the community. Does anybody have any questions so far before we move forward? Okay, great. So the next item on the agenda is just the attendance sheet. So I'm just going to quickly go through our Block Grants Advisory Committee members and take roll, since this is technically a Block Grants Advisory Committee meeting and we do operate under the Brown Act. Ryan Fisher.
Here.
Jason Tamura.
Here.
Angel Lopez. Esther Acosta.
Here.
Robert Doyle. I see Bob's name. Bob Doyle. Okay. Patricia Solorio. Tim Seifert. Tim, I see you.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was.
Okay, great. It's okay. Yvonne Teniente.
Here.
Great. Rosalie Marquez.
Here.
And Jose Aguilera Galvan.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. We do have the meeting minutes for 2 meetings, actually, for June 14th and July 12th. We did not review and approve the June 14th meeting minutes during the July 12th meeting because we didn't have a quorum. So at this time, if we could please review and approve the minutes.
I read the minutes and I moved to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Great. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And any abstentions?
I have.
Anybody?
Yeah, Jason abstains.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much. At this time, as you can see on your screen, the next item is the public comment period. Now, this comment period is different than what we are here for tonight, which is our current community needs. The public comment is reserved for anything that is not related to the community's needs. So if anybody has any public comment at this time that they would like to share that is not related to the current community's needs, please feel free to share with the group.
Hi, my name is Erica Weber. I'm with VTC Enterprises. In that this is my first time at this meeting or this kind of meeting, I'm not sure what community needs you're specifically talking about. I'm here because of the contract that was canceled with Communify for providing meals to seniors in the community, and just reaching out to find out if there is a need for that, or if that's something that you guys discuss in here.
Okay, thank you so much. The community, so for those who are new, and I apologize, I should have started with that. For those who are new, this basically kicks off our CDBG funding process for the upcoming fiscal year. So for fiscal year 2022-2023. And what we do here is we want to hear from the community as to what the community feels are the unmet needs in the community. And it can be anything. If you could please mute your mic, that would be wonderful.
I don't know how to turn off the mic. I'm only used to Zoom.
Okay, it's okay. It's there should be a little mic
Yeah.
at the
Right.
yeah, and I can actually mute you. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so what the lost my okay, so here we go. So it's anything that you feel are the unmet needs in the community. So it can be anything. It can be senior meals, it can be homelessness, anything you feel we are working on, but we still need to do more of. And it's not just us in general, but just the circumstances of it all. So it allows our committee to look at the current priorities that we have and see if there's anything that we're missing. Now, our priorities are pretty thorough, and I'm not sure, being that we have already done some outreach, that there's really anything that we haven't already heard or accounted for. But that being said, we have this workshop and we have it annually so that we can check in and make sure that we're on the right track. I hope that answered the question, Erica.
Yes, thank you, Rosie.
Perfect. Okay. So I see a hand up. Yes, Allison.
Hi, I'm assuming this is where I need to go ahead and make a few comments. I believe Ann McCarty, my name is Allison Wells. I'm with the North County Rape Crisis and Child Protection Center, and I believe Ann may have submitted some a few words already, but I just wanted to be here and express our thanks for the continued support throughout the years, and to take note our numbers always stay steady, and the needs this year has been really interesting in the amount of increase. While we have the same amount of people, they need a lot more. And again, thank you for your continued support. And I look forward to listening to the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Allison. Do I see anybody? Oh, Emily, I see a hand. Oh.
Hey guys, my name is Emily Koval and I'm the program manager for Citynet. We're a new outreach team that's up in Santa Maria, and we're working with the homeless, trying to help them connect to housing resources, income, mental health resources, and all of the above. In our recent outreach, we've noticed two things that our population really needs. One is a SOARS certified professional outreach case manager who can connect people to SSI, SSDI, and general relief. This is a really specialized case manager, and it usually takes up the entire time to get someone connected to SSI and SSDI. And what we're finding is that we have located housing for some of our clients, but we have no way of supplying the income that's necessary for them to sign those leases or to obtain the housing vouchers so that they're able to give 30% of their income to the rent. So that's one need. And then another need that we've noticed is a lot of our clients have been what we call 86'd or asked to leave the shelters that are being provided in Santa Maria and Lompoc. And so we're looking for a lower barrier model of non-congregate shelter where clients with the high mental health issues and substance use issues can find shelter in a trauma-informed way, rather than being all congregated in a gym warehouse, asking them to maintain their behavior and work within those shelter parameters, and then also provide them with another attempt and another try to seek shelter as they work towards their housing goals. So if anyone had any questions or wanted to reach out, my number is 805-722-4900, and my email is emily@citynet.org. Like I said, we're new to this community and we're just really excited to participate.
Thank you, Emily. And if you would like to include that information in the chat, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to the meat and potatoes of this meeting. So before we move on to the open public discussion, we do want to share with you some information that we've gathered in the last few months. So in the last few months, we did do a survey, and normally we only do these surveys every 5 years, but because of the pandemic, we felt it was necessary to do another one this year, even though we had just done one in 2019. So the survey was available electronically from March 3rd through March 24th, and it was shared with hundreds of people, including we sent out a press release, and we put it on all our social media outlets. We also conducted 2 nonprofit focus groups that took place March 16th through and also April 13th. And most of you on this participating here tonight were invited to this meeting, and we did have a great turnout. So thank you so much for those who attended. And the goal was to see how the needs of the community have changed in the past 2 years and if the pandemic has played a part in this shift. So moving on to the next slide, some results of the needs workshop. So we stuck with our 32 key questions that we've had in our surveys. Now, we did one in 2014, we did another one in 2019, and then this one in 2021. And we still ask those same key 32 questions that are related to our priorities. We received 134 responses for this survey in 3 weeks, which, of course, we would have liked more, but not too bad considering that in 2019, we only received 100 responses, and the survey was out for a little longer than 3 weeks. 90% of the people who responded were provided their personal opinion, and 10% came from agency representatives. We did not ask for demographics. Now, when we asked the question about how the pandemic has affected them, how has the pandemic affected you, and also have you received assistance as a result of the pandemic? Those are 2 questions that we added to this 2021 survey that we obviously didn't have in 2019, but we felt it was necessary to start getting some information tied to the pandemic. And as you can see on your screen, the biggest impact was kids and virtual learning. Over 35% said that they have been affected by kids and virtual learning. 28% said they had no negative impacts. Childcare was a big one, and trouble paying their rent and their mortgage was also a big one, and hours reduced because of the pandemic. And then about 20% said that they have been receiving some sort of assistance because of the pandemic. Now, that assistance could be rent subsidy, it could be a business loan, any type of assistance that came as a result of the pandemic. Next slide, please. So, as far as the 32 key questions that were asked in 2014 and 2019, and also 2021, what we did was we compared the results of all 3 surveys to see if the shift is more associated with the pandemic or if it's just a growing trend. And some things that we found were that mental health and at-risk youth are needs that have increased, and they've increased significantly. They've continued to increase, but definitely increased more between 2019 and 2021. This is also backed up by service providers who also say that the need continues to remain high when it comes to these two priorities. Also, of course, rental assistance for tenants. This was actually ranked a medium priority in 2014 and 2019, but then jumped significantly in 2021. The rising housing and rental costs may be partly related to this jump. Now, keep in mind too, we have set aside CDBG CV funds for rental assistance, and we actually helped a number of about 6 dozen households with our emergency rent assistance, but then the county took over in being able to provide that assistance. And then now the state has taken over in providing emergency rent assistance. So our CDBG dollars, we set them aside for a rainy day while the state is taking care of our local residents in need of rental assistance. And that assistance is available through the state, and they're actually able to pay for any back rent going as far back as March 2020 if they can show that there's a link to COVID-19, either loss of income, any type of financial impact that they had because of the pandemic. Next slide. So this is interesting, the decreases. Now, the next 4 findings are interesting because the survey in 2021 ranked them as a lower priority, but service providers and city staff both show a very different view. And I'm sure a lot of you here participating tonight will agree. For example, security deposit assistance. This was a service that was ranked high in 2014 and 2019. However, in 2021, it drastically dropped to a medium priority. Service providers think that there is a perceived public perception that this assistance is not needed because people are currently not moving due to the pandemic, but that is actually not the case. City staff confirm that the need for security deposit assistance continues to increase. In 2019, the city assisted 80 households, but in 2020, it assisted 97 households. So as you can see, the numbers continue to increase. Legal services is another area that went up in need between 2014 and 2019, but then drastically dropped in the last 2 years. When speaking with service providers, they believe that the results of the survey may reflect misinformation as to what legal services nonprofits would provide. Service providers saw a significant increase in the need for domestic violence, restraining orders, and other protective related services since the pandemic began. And they further believe that once the eviction moratorium is lifted, that the need for legal services associated with housing will also significantly increase. Now, as far as the eviction moratorium, at the time, we had anticipated the eviction moratorium ending at the end of June. Now it's at the end of September, and many, I think, are already bracing themselves for the impact that will have come October 1st. And the need for substance abuse facilities and services dropped from a high priority to a medium priority in 2021. Now, keep in mind, again, this is just the survey. This is interesting because a recent study from the American Psychological Association reported that opiate and stimulant use is on the rise, and the ongoing stress of COVID-19 may have something to do with it. Service providers believe that the survey results do not accurately reflect what is taking place as a result of the pandemic, and either those who are dealing with substance abuse are not participating in the survey, or they are experiencing substance abuse but do not understand or realize that they are actually abusing. And lastly, infrastructure improvements. Out of all of the findings, this one is probably the least impactful, although it did drop from a high priority to a medium priority in the last 2 years. There's not enough information at this time to have a clear indication as to why this is, but part of it could be that with the stay-at-home order in place through most of 2020, many people were just not out and about and may not have been as aware of the need of improvements to infrastructure such as lighting, sidewalks, and streets. So what this tells us is that even though some of the results of the survey did show that there was a drop in the need, when we spoke to service providers, And we also compared it with some of the data we have from programs and services. It didn't quite jive. So at this time, what this shows us is that the priorities that we have adopted in the last couple years remain pretty strong and pretty accurate as to what the needs are, even with the pandemic. And as you can see on your screen, thank you, Alicia, the current priorities for CDBG and home funding are as follows. Now, I will add that the numbers you see to the left-hand side are only meant for referencing purposes. It does not mean that that's how they are ranked. All of these priorities are important, and just because revitalization of existing neighborhoods is number 4 doesn't mean it's 4th on the list. It's lower of a priority than, let's say, the number 2. It just allows us to be able to make references to, priority number 4, priority number 2. And also keep in mind that when we do decide on allocations, especially for public services, priorities 1 and 2 will be considered for CDBG public service funding. And this is really only because there's really no activity or very little activity that would fall under public service, I should add, that would fall under priorities 3 and 4. Priorities 3 and 4 are more capital project related, which is another pot of money under CDBG. So that is it for my presentation. Before we move on to the open public discussion, any questions on the presentation?
Just one on the priorities when it says expand educational and development opportunities. What is meant by development?
The title, you mean expand educational and development opportunities, just
Yeah.
educational development. So just any type of opportunities that would encourage the development of a youth or of the child or even the adult, anything that's kind of aside from academics.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Enrichment type of activities, youth enrichment and adult enrichment programs and services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Rosie, it's Ryan. Hey,
Hi.
if I could just ask if the folks who are here to speak tonight, if you could just raise your hand and just keep it up until you've spoken, that would be helpful. And then Rosie, I'll let you just select at your discretion. You can just pick the speakers, and then I want to remind everybody there'll be a 2-minute timer. And Rosie, I'm going to ask if it's possible, because you have the power to mute, if maybe we can mute people within a few seconds after that. If someone starts to go long, you can give them a heads up if you want. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but I'm going to ask that we do that. I know last year we tried this the same way. Some people went very long, and sometimes it's hard to get a word in edgewise. You don't want to interrupt people while they're making their point, but if we'd like to stick to our time limit, and if we're sticking to a 2-minute time limit, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ryan. Okay, so I'm just going to go from the very top of my list here, and I see Laura. Laura has her hand up. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Laura. I'm a legal aid attorney specializing in domestic violence. As you mentioned, domestic violence has gone up in the last year since the pandemic. People are stuck at home. Money is short. We see that commonly. So legal aid, we always could use more funding, but specifically in the areas of domestic violence and housing. Our elders are especially being affected, as we've noticed. I've been doing a lot more elder restraining orders, as well as just restraining orders in general. But thank you so much for putting this together and giving us a chance to talk about our needs. We also have Joan, she's here with legal aid, and she's going to talk about the housing needs, but I'm sure everyone's seen the statistics about DV, so I think that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Okay, Floyd, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Floyd Bland, and I'm the coordinator for the Liberty Tattoo Removal Program. We're in Arroyo Grande, and we service the residents in Santa Maria and Santa Barbara County. And truly, we want to try and continue to achieve our goal, which is to reduce recidivism by helping the underserved in your community with their lifestyle choices. Some are ex-gang members and have a negative past where they seek our services for tattoo removal. And it has been for the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 months now, as we've now been able to resume our services now that we've are past the lockdown. We've had to turn away 4 to 5 calls a week from your community for people who are seeking our services. So in light of all of the public needs that you've expressed, and I know that those are very important and critical, but I just wanted to at least put Liberty Tattoo at least on the landscape and allow you guys to consider us at some point for funding, because we are servicing those who are in your community who want to make a positive change. And here our goal is not to create additional barriers, but try to remove as many as possible. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Floyd. Appreciate it. Okay, Joan, I see you have your hand.
Thank you. I'm Joan at Legal Aid, and my coworker Myra Moran and I both represent Santa Maria for housing and eviction defense. And right now, with the COVID eviction moratorium, we are seeing a slowdown in cases, but that'll pick up soon. And what we're seeing is that landlords don't, because they want to get the benefits of the market, especially Lompoc and Santa Maria, the market going crazy. We're seeing a lot of evictions for the landlord thinking of selling, and that's not valid. And not a valid reason for kicking out a tenant. And so we're seeing landlords trying to get around the law of the Tenant Protection Act. And it works sometimes because tenants are so petrified that they're going to lose their housing that they kind of comply unless they call us. So the Tenant Protection Act still applies, and there's a lot of resources that we have to help people, and people just need to know about them. So we are available, Myra and I, to do any sort of community outreach or landlord tenant type, know your rights type of presentations, because we're seeing just that if landlords would notify tenants properly, they would realize that they have to follow the law. And so, and they can't just try to sell their house and get a ton of money for it. There's rent caps and different things. So we're here, we're available. We've got time, and we want to help keep people in their homes. And so that's what I've got. And people feel free to contact us, and we'll do any kind of outreach or community education, Zoom or in person, just to kind of get the word out there of the COVID moratorium and just the regular law, the Tenant Protection Act.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
No,
yes,
it's all right.
thank you. And if you would like to share your contact information, actually, I extend this invitation to anyone who's participating. If you would like to share your contact information, please feel free to share that in the chat.
I put my contact information earlier, so please feel free to reach out. And I'm available, like I said, for any kind of community outreach, education forum, anything like that, almost any day, plus client referrals as well. So thank you.
Great, thank you. I don't see anybody else's hand up. Is there anybody else who would like to share?
Rosie, before we get started, can you see the timer? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I see Rigoberto Guzman. Go ahead, Rigoberto.
Hi, Rosie. How are you? My name is Rigoberto Guzman. I work with People Self-Help Housing as a project manager in our multi-family housing development department. It's a mouthful, but in short, we do our best to build affordable housing where it's needed. So I wanted to come on here and just kind of talk about that a little bit. We've had a great ongoing relationship with the city of Santa Maria within the last few years alone. We've completed a couple beautiful affordable housing properties, and we've done great work. And I wanted to kind of speak today and highlight the fact that our wait lists are still large. Some a couple years wait just to get into a unit if you're a low-income family that needs affordable housing. So I wanted to speak today and highlight that fact. And the need for affordable housing is still very relevant, and we appreciate all that you do to help us house as many people as possible, and want to remind everyone here that we're working very hard every day to continue to accomplish that goal. And just a quick reminder, just our mission is to build permanent supportive housing with site-based services and really offer the opportunities to change lives and strengthen communities. So thank you for your time, and thank you for setting this meeting up.
Thank you so much.
Rosie,
Erica Weber. Oh, hi. Who?
this is Sharon McConnell. Forgive me, I'm not familiar with this platform. I'm too used to Zoom, and I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but I have something to say.
Sure. You did a great job in raising your hand. I see it. Sure. Go ahead,
Oh,
Sharon.
Okay. I'm Sharon McConnell. I'm representing the Area Agency for Aging, and I just wanted to add that affordable housing seems to be a big concern with the community and the seniors. And surprisingly, transportation is another issue. I think transportation became no big deal during the pandemic because everybody stayed at home. But 2 years before the pandemic, transportation was a big thing on their list. So that's what I just wanted to add to the discussion.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
All right, Erica Weber.
Thanks, Rosie. I just wanted to say real briefly, VTC has been in our community since 1962, and we're providing services for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And although we do not really fit the priority list for the upcoming CDBG funding, I would just like to put the bug in your ear that we are here, we have been here, we're going to stay here, and that we're willing to partner with the city on a variety of different levels, and in terms of providing services to the city or partnering with you with other projects. We have individuals that can go to work, and we also, like I said before, we're providing prepackaged meals to seniors delivered to their conjugate sites or to their homes. So just keep us in mind when you have a need. Erica Weber, VTC Enterprises.
Thank you, Erica. And if we'll revisit the priorities after the open discussion, but elderly persons and people with mental, physical, and emotional developmental disabilities and/or diseases are included in the priorities. Anyone else? Okay, Ryan, I think we have heard from everyone who would like to speak at today's workshop.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you all taking the time to be with us here tonight and represent your agencies. We understand it's not an easy process applying for these grants, and so we're definitely very appreciative of all that you do for the community. And with that, I'm going to recognize Tim Seifert. I see you got your hand up, Tim, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Are we allowed to ask questions of the participants? Am I muted? Anybody? Can't hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes.
I think so, Tim. I think we can, if they're here, if they've stayed in the room. I think we can ask. So I'd encourage any members of the committee, as long as as long as we're okay doing that, Rosie, to please go ahead and raise your hand, and then I'll recognize you, and then you can ask. And if they're still in the room, then yeah, please.
Okay. So Floyd, this is Tim Seifert. Are you there? You're muted.
Yes, I'm here.
So the Liberty Tattoo, we've had tattoo but I don't remember them being in Arroyo Grande.
Yep. At one time we were in SLO. Now we've moved to. At one time we were in San Luis. Now we're in Arroyo Grande. We just moved there during the pandemic.
I see. And so then you're the same organization. So you require community service to all of participants?
Yes, we're the same organization. That's correct.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for doing the good work. I just want to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Of course. Do any other members have any questions for any of the other agencies that are still with us? And if not, Rosie, I'll let you go ahead and take it.
Okay, well, at this time, it is up to the Block Grants Advisory Committee to review the current priorities, make any recommendations, if any, to the current priorities, and adopt the priorities for the upcoming fiscal year 2022-2023.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to recommend we move to approve the priorities as they are, since we've deliberated on these at length fairly recently. And if anybody has any discussion, please raise your hand and I'll recognize you if you have any comments about it.
I second it.
And I don't see any hands up, so I guess its motion's been made and seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And is anyone opposed? All right, doesn't sound like it. So Rosie, are we good with that?
Yes, thank you so much. So at this point, we can move on to what's next. So what will happen next is these priorities will go to our City Council on August 17th in the form of a public hearing. And again, anyone who would like to speak about these priorities is more than welcome to attend and participate in that public hearing at the City Council meeting on Tuesday, August 17th. Also, once Council approves these recommendations by the Block Grants Advisory Committee, the notice of funding availability will go out. So our annual NOFA, which kicks off our fiscal year 2022-2023 funding, and that should be available by Monday, August 23rd. And that will include the priorities, and the priorities will be used is one of the many tools that the Block Grants Advisory Committee will use to determine what the allocations will look like for the upcoming fiscal year. Also, another important event that you might not want to miss is our quarterly brown bag lunch meeting, which is Wednesday, August 11th at 12 o'clock via Microsoft Teams. And please contact Alicia Vela at avela@cityofsantamaria.org to join. Email her and she will send you a link to the meeting. And these quarterly brown bag lunches, for anybody who has participated, I think they can agree that it is a great networking opportunity. And for those who haven't had a chance to participate, I would encourage you and invite you to attend. And it's a great opportunity to meet other people who are connected to the community and doing really great things. And you might just walk away with a great partnership. All right, and next slide, please. Oh, and there you go. There's our information. There's my phone number and email address, as well as Alicia's and Tash. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call. Also, keep in mind our August regular meeting of August, Monday 9th is canceled. We will meet again, our Black Grants Advisory Committee will meet again on September 13th. Any questions? All right, any reports from committee members?
Yeah, if I could, I just wanted to say that because it was reported in the last meeting, but a lot of members weren't available. And I wanted just to remind everybody that we lost Georgina, and that I wanted to just personally thank her, and just to say it publicly, for her her guidance and her help on the last few years that she's been on the committee were indispensable. And I think that her contributions to the committee really helped make a lot of affect a lot of changes that have improved our processes, and will even in the next grant cycle, we'll really see the impact of a lot of her scrutiny, and that's kind of coming to fruition. So I'm sorry that she's not around to see it, but I just wanted to extend the thanks on the record to Georgina for all her help.
I totally agree with you, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, she definitely made us better, and we are really going to miss her being on the committee.
I agree also.
All right. Well, with that being said, Ryan, I think we can adjourn this meeting.
All right, then I'm going to do that. I'll adjourn the meeting at 6:12. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you, committee members, members of the public, and organizations who are here. Again, I appreciate all that you guys do, and we look forward to seeing you and meeting with your organizations in the next funding cycle.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite,
Thank you.
Rosie.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for being here.
Oh my goodness.